The ocean sunfish, or mola mola, is an ocean fish within the order Tetrodontiformes, which includes fish related to the pufferfish and porcupine fish, that all have similar traits like having a big beak made up of 4 combined teeth. The family Molidae is the largest group of bony fish, with the largest species out of the 5 species within the family being the bumphead sunfish. Sunfish will typically range somewhere between 500 and 2,200 pounds, while the largest bumphead sunfish ever recorded weighed in at almost 6,050 pounds. So these are very, very big fish. That's about as heavy as a car weighs. Their size makes these fish really cool and special, but online, all I've seen is hate for them. Many people calling them the dumbest fish, or saying they should go extinct. Even Kurzgesagt made a video on the poor fish, calling it the dumbest animal alive. So what is so bad about the sunfish? Maybe it's incredibly poorly adapted to its environment. Does it do harm? Is it useless to the ecosystem? Well, I feel the need to get to the bottom of this, even if the sunfish sits on the surface. Probably the most obvious thing about the sunfish that makes it substantially different than every other fish is its weird shape. It's laterally flattened and has 2 very large fins on the top and bottom, which makes it approximately as long as it is tall. Combined with how much it weighs, that's a lot of fish for one fish. The fins specifically are often criticized for looking ridiculous because they don't seem to be able to let the sunfish move very far, but really, the sunfish moves them together back and forth like oars, which propels the fish forward at a cruising speed of around 3.2 kilometers per hour, which is a lot more than I personally can swim and is comparable to many other large fish. For a while though, scientists thought they only really moved with the water currents, which then classified them as megaplankton, and I didn't know what megaplankton was, but I found out that it's an organism that drifts with the current that's larger than 8 inches. So it's just a big plankton. The sunfish is also often criticized for it being covered in parasites all over its body. But actually, this is one of the reasons it's so important to the ecosystem it's a part of. Around 40 different kinds of parasites have been recorded to attach themselves to the sunfish, making the sunfish critical to their life cycle. One parasite in particular, the Mollicola horridus, a tapeworm that infects sharks, lives in the sunfish during its larval stage and waits for the sunfish to be eaten by a shark so that it can then infect that shark, meaning that the sunfish is critical to this organism's life cycle. In fact, the mola mola is host to so many parasites that it has hyperparasites, parasites that have a parasitic relationship with other parasites. They have so many parasites primarily due to their large size and lack of scaly skin that protects most other fish. So this seems like it would be super disadvantageous, right? And while these parasites do harm the ocean sunfish, they have some clever ways of taking care of them. While researching for this video, I found out that they can jump several feet out of the water like a shark, and I thought that was insane, and like, no way they'd be able to do that while being that shape. But they can! Like, their whole body can fling out of the water and go right back down. And one of the reasons they seem to do this is because it removes a lot of the parasites that are in their skin. I guess the force of them hitting the water is enough to dislodge them out. One of the strangest behaviors the sunfish exhibits is that it seemingly loves to sit flat on the surface of the ocean for extended periods without moving. And for a while, scientists believed this was basically all the fish did, and that it was super lazy, which is where the name sunfish originates, because it lays in front of the sun. There was also like a really weird theory that sunfish did photosynthesis while laying in the sun, but that's been disproven, obviously. Now we've come to the conclusion that they sit on the surface so that they can be heated up by the sun, because when they eat, they go really low in the ocean to grab their food, so they need to warm themselves up quickly. But relating back to the parasite problem, the sunbathing behavior allows the mola mola to have its parasites eaten off by visiting birds, such as the albatross. They'll even go as far as to follow an albatross if they see them flying by, trying to attract the seabird into eating the parasites out. This important mutualistic relationship is a hygienic, symbiotic relationship where the fish gets to be cleaned and the bird gets a meal. This form of relationship isn't exclusive to birds though. Mollas have been seen going into reef areas for other kinds of fish living in the coral to come by and snack on the different parasites. So while it may be one of the most parasite-infested organisms in the world, it makes do by having 3-inch thick skin, allowing other organisms to feed on the parasites. And if all else fails, the ocean sunfish can use its 2,000 pounds of body weight to slam into the ocean to remove intruders. But enough about parasites. The way the sunfish eats is also very strange, but it totally makes sense. Like I mentioned earlier, the sunfish goes into the deep water to find its prey, which was formerly believed to be primarily jellyfish. But now we know that they are generalists that eat a lot of different small fish, including eels, squid, and some crustaceans. Really, anything they can fit in their mouth. But how does such a low-calorie diet sustain such a large organism? Most of these foods are primarily water, especially sea jellies, so how do they survive? Well, they just kind of eat as much as possible, which is why their mouths are stuck open. Along with always eating, they also have very tiny brains for this reason, because a brain is the most calorie-demanding part of an organism usually. In humans, our brains take about 20% of our total caloric intake, so if they have a very tiny brain, about 5 grams, they don't need to consume such calorie-heavy foods like other big fish do. Probably the silliest thing about these fish, and the most shocking, is the photos and videos of them not really caring about being eaten. Like, there's tons of images floating around online of them being half eaten by a sea lion or a shark, and they just keep swimming and don't really seem bothered by it. I don't think they really have the capacity to be bothered by anything anyways. Their behavior as a prey item is probably one of their most critical defense mechanisms though. When a sunfish reproduces, one female can produce up to 300 million eggs per breeding season, which makes them the largest egg-brooding vertebrate ever. And when those eggs hatch, they become cute little circle guys, about 2.5 millimeters long, and they definitely look like pufferfish. Which makes sense, because they're closely related to pufferfish. But these little guys can't really do anything, which seems like a big problem. But because there's so many of them, 300 million, it really doesn't matter. They can be eaten by anything, but chances are, at least a few of them will survive, making this strategy very advantageous for molas as a whole species. In this larval stage, they're eaten by almost anything, but as they grow up, the amount of things that are able to eat them greatly reduces. Because of their size and cartilaginous bodies, they aren't predated upon by much. Only really great white sharks, killer whales, and sea lions.
Everybody hit it with me, hit the sea lion.
But their size alone isn't enough to deter predators from turning them into a giant sushi wrap. So the fact that they're hard to bite plays a big role. The sunfish's skin can be 3 inches thick and covered in mucus, and even under all that skin, there really isn't much caloric value. So no real reason to eat it unless a sea lion is super desperate for a meal. But why do they seem so unbothered with being attacked in those photos? Well, a large amount of their bodies are just nothing but goo and cartilage. Their important organs are compacted towards the front of their bodies where they're unlikely to be bitten. While some predators have been known to bite off their fins, they can make do without them, at least for a little while until the fins grow back, which they can actually do. So the reason sunfish often just don't care when they're getting bitten is because usually their bodies are non-nutritious enough for a predator to just go away without causing any real damage. Though it is important to not misconstrue this as they are never able to be eaten, because they obviously do die from being predated upon, as does basically every organism. Speaking of predation, the mola mola is often eaten by humans. Sunfish don't really pose a threat to humans at all, other than when they slam into the water, sometimes it's hurt boats before. But other than that, they're really gentle organisms. But of course, humans are a big threat to the sunfish. Historically, the sunfish has been used in a lot of cuisine, from its fins to its organs, being used in many dishes. Along with hunting, the sunfish is often harmed by human pollutants in the ocean, often appearing like jellyfish, especially with things like plastic bags. Because of these factors contributing to the decrease in overall sunfish populations, the sunfish has been placed under the vulnerable classification by conservationists. So this isn't a super drastic situation yet, but it is definitely a sign that things are going in the wrong direction. Overall, the sunfish is a great fish and has tons of symbiotic relationships with organisms of all kinds, from seabirds to tapeworms. Not only do many ecosystems rely on the ocean sunfish because it's a keystone species, but the ocean sunfish itself is its own ecosystem, with a thriving community of life all over it. While this fish may look stupid while it's being eaten, it's a great population controller and a food choice of many fish across the ocean. And there's tons of special things about it, like it being the largest bony fish and it having the largest amount of eggs out of any vertebrate. Without the mola mola, the ocean would be a much more boring place, and I think it's a real shame everyone seems to judge it based off its goofy face. Which is goofy, but in a cute way, you know? Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I had a grand old time making it, and I hope you watch some of my other videos too. I'm really trying to make more content, so if you subscribe, you can see it, and that'd be great. So, bye!